Hey guys, it's Bear. It's Thursday, July 19th, and I wanted to share this experience that I had last week and get some feelings and some thoughts kind of off of my chest. I meant to come home and make a video right away because I was actually sort of irritated, and I just didn't get around to it. I had some time constraint issues and whatnot. So I wanted to go ahead and follow up on that, and it's probably better to do it from a bit of a space of clear thinking than irritation anyway. So last week I went to the beach. I live in Chicago, and I've spent quite a bit of time at the beach this summer, which has been really awesome. As a post-top surgery trans man, being able to just like take my shirt off and run around the beach has been this like amazing experience. But that's not the point. In Chicago, we have this beach which has sort of been like denoted like the gay beach, and for the most part, it's gay men, and a lot of trans men tend to meet up there too. There's some women and there's some straight couples, obviously, but whatever. So there I am. I'm hanging out with a group of friends. There's like 4 or 5 of us. We're standing about like waist deep in the water because it's really, really cold, and there's not a lot of swimming going on. And, you know, I'm there like in swim trunks with no top and coated in sunscreen because I burned really badly early in the season, and I learned my lesson. I'm still peeling from that bad burn. Anyway, so we're hanging out, and this guy kind of like just very brazenly comes up to us. He's just one of those really outgoing people who doesn't really understand like personal boundaries. And he introduces himself, and he goes through the group just sort of like talking about people's like swim trunks and asking this other guy like, oh, your nipples are pierced, and do you like them sucked on? I mean, this guy has like just no like boundaries, and you know, more power to you. I can't be that like outgoing when I first approach people. And so eventually he makes his way around to me, and he literally just comes up and like touches my incision, you know, and is like, oh, you had surgery, you know, what was that for? And I kind of like laughed, and I was like, my go-to joke about when people I don't know ask me why I had surgery on my chest is I'll say like I had to have a couple of birth defects removed, which I think is just wicked funny, you know, for so many reasons. And he didn't get it, you know, and he just kept like kind of like questioning me about this surgery, like, oh, did you have heart surgery? Like, why are the scars on both sides and stuff? Which is kind of one of the things that I find irritating, is that like in this so-called LGBTQ community, gay men have no idea about trans men, you know. And of course, I always approach my videos from the point of view of a trans man and try not to like go through all the verbiage of like explaining things from a trans woman's point of view too. So I'll just talk about that. And I'm just like, I finally said to him, I go, do you really not know what these scars mean about me, you know, as a gay man, you know? And he was like, well, no. And I was like, well, it means that I'm a trans man, and those scars are from having my breasts removed, you know? And he was like, you know, oh my God, which is such an irritating response, you know, that people give me because like I pass as male, and so they do this like really sort of dramatic like reaction, like, oh my God, I could never tell that like you're, you know, a trans man, and like the sort of unspoken thing there is that like you're really a woman, you know, or were once a woman, and you know, immediately you start to kind of feel really irritated with this person. And so building on that, you know, he continued to ask really personal questions, and I don't really mind that. I'm pretty outgoing, and I like to be a voice for the trans community because so many trans people do have like social anxiety and stuff like that, which I think is inherent with being transgender. Anyway, not the point of this video. I'm not going to get sidetracked. And so he kept asking questions, and I answered them. But one of the things that people almost always go to, and almost immediately, is they'll ask you, so who are you into? Like, what's your sexual orientation? And again, this is one of the few things that will kind of irritate me. And not so much the fact that you have the question in the first place, but people tend to phrase it really poorly. And they'll say, like, well, if you're attracted to men, why didn't you just stay a woman? I have so many feelings about this. I have so many feelings about this that I had to write it all down in order to stay on track. Okay, one, this question is incredibly ignorant. It outs you as having absolutely no idea as to the difference between gender identity and sexual orientation. And furthermore, it tells me that you have no idea what it's like to question your own gender identity. I was never a woman. I was assigned female at birth. I was raised mostly female. I mean, I was a tomboy, and my parents allowed that, and I really appreciate that my parents allowed me to express certain things and stuff like that. But yeah, I was always uncomfortable with a lot of things about being a woman, so I never was, and okay. God, I've got so many feelings about this. It's really hard to stay on track. But when you ask somebody that, you're assuming that all trans people must be straight. And you're inherently linking gender identity and sexual orientation. You're assuming that as a trans man, I must have started out as a lesbian, and a butch lesbian at that, and that I decided to transition because it would be easier to be a good lesbian to live as a man. And there's so many convoluted, weird things around that ideology. It is not easier to be to live as a trans person for so many reasons, but we'll just address it from the point of view of sexuality for the purpose of this video, okay? Trans people are widely rejected when they approach people of any gender. So whether you're approaching someone of the opposite gender, they tend to reject you because they're straight and they don't like your parts. Same thing with approaching people of the same gender. Me as a trans man, dating men has been incredibly difficult. I can't even begin to tell you how many rejections I've gotten just in the initial phase of telling somebody I'm a trans man and I'm interested in you as a man. And there are so many reasons that you get rejected. Most of it is based on your genitals. I will not be shy in telling somebody that I am a pre-op trans man. I don't really plan on having bottom surgery. Not the point of this video. Not going to get sidetracked there. Not going to do it. All right. But almost immediately right there, people will say oh, I'm out. I'm not going to pursue seeing you because of that. So no, it would not have been easier for my dating life, all right? And furthermore, it would not have been easier for me as a human being, okay? Living as a female for the first 34 years of my life was a constant struggle and a constant source of unhappiness, all right? I hated myself so much, and I didn't even understand why for a very long time, but I hated myself so much that it honestly caused me to just be an unhappy person. And a lot of people who have known me for a long time will tell you exactly that. I was angry all the time. And I didn't know why. And I started to understand why as I started to research and understand gender identity and understand that I was a trans person. And just in that understanding, I started to become more comfortable. It was like I could breathe for the first time. Okay? I've often told the story of, like, let me explain it to you this way. Imagine you went through your whole life with a small rock in your shoe. And it's uncomfortable every time you take a step. Every time you're standing still, you're trying to wiggle that little rock around your foot so that you're less uncomfortable, right? But you think that it's normal to have that rock in your shoe, so you just kind of deal with it, okay? And then one day, somebody says to you, you know, you could shake that rock out of your shoe. And so you do. And all of a sudden, you're just not uncomfortable anymore. And that lack of discomfort is an amazing thing. Try it. Try it as an experiment. If you're one of the people that I've talked to who says, like, I'm a cisgender person, and so I don't understand what it's like to be transgender, try that. Walk around all day with a small rock in your shoe. Do it. Try it. Anyway, moving on, because I'm already at 11 minutes for this video, and I don't even care. I've talked a lot about, like, trying to make my videos shorter, and I'm sorry, but this one is just too important. I've got too many things on my mind. So, yeah, like, as far as, like, if you're attracted to men, why didn't you stay a woman? Well, it's even more complicated because in my questioning and trying to discover my, gender identity, I approached it from the point of view of sexual orientation, right? And this is something I've been asked to do a specific video about. So maybe one day I will, and it'll be a shorter video, but let me address it right here and now, okay? Me trying to figure out what was, like, going on with my orientation and my gender identity led me to a lot of experimentation before I transitioned. So it was a lot of, like, experimentation with sexual orientation as a female. So yeah, I approached sex with women. I approached a lot of different experimentation with that. Like, big surprise, I actually don't enjoy sex with women. I wasn't a gay woman, and I didn't understand it. I thought, like, that must have been the answer, was that I was a butch, lesbian, and I would play the role of, like, the man in the bedroom, and that's, it's another video, guys. This video will be, like, an hour long if I even try to approach that. But yeah, like, it wasn't easier. It would not have been easier for me to just stay a woman and, like, live as a butch lesbian. I'm not into women, But on the other hand, yeah, I'm into men, but I'm not, I'm not a woman. Like, I wasn't comfortable expressing as a woman, and even as a gender non-conforming woman, because I got comments all the time about, like, being a dyke, and being, like, this stereotypical man-hating dyke. And then I'd tell people, like, no, I'm into men. I'm not a lesbian. It's just that I'm a really gender non-conforming female. And then they assume, and they all sorts of things about you, and they say all sorts of things to you, to your face. People say things to you, like, So no, it would not have been easier to stay a woman. Long story short, long story here at 13 minutes for this video, and I don't care. They're two different things. In summation, your sexual identity and your gender identity are two different things. They don't need to be inherently linked. There are different spectrums, all right? And, if you're struggling with one of them or both of them, you're going through a lot, all right? And this point in my journey, I have finally settled down into my role as a male and my role as a gay male. And it's a good thing. I'm finally comfortable, finally coming to realize my gender identity as male led me to finally understand that I'm into guys, and I'm into a very specific kind of guy. There's all sorts of different kinds of guys, and not all of them are my type, and I'm finally at this point at 38 years old of being able to realize those things and be comfortable with them and express them, and I'm still trying to learn how to be like the right kind of like gay man. You know, I've been told that I'm like too straight acting, and that's why I don't get approached in bars and I don't get hit on and stuff. And I'm really fine with that. I think it's a bullshit term, straight acting. You know, like as though all gay men have to be like the really kind of flamboyant, expressing like men. It's bullshit. It's presumptuous. Stop doing that to people. Stop doing it to me. You know. But yeah, like in summation, they're not linked. They're not the same thing. They're both spectrums, and let people express both of them without your ignorant like statements. Go ahead, ask me questions, but please don't make ignorant statements, you know, like that. It's really irritating. Yeah, I'm gonna end it here, because now I'm just starting to ramble. So thank you for listening. Sorry that it's a 15-minute video. Have a good day.